Back in Albuquerque at University Stadium, the Utah State Aggies trying to even their record this year at 4-4. They're up 31-3. They're halfway in that direction. And let's visit again with Torrey Holt. Torrey?
Yeah, Drew, I talked to Bob Davie, very gracious to stop over and have a good chat. He was very disappointed with that first half. They got behind the 8-ball really early in that game, and that really hurt because they never got in the tone of the game, the way they wanted to be able to play. And then the one thing that really killed them going into the half was that big punt return. So they're looking to get back to their game plan here, slow things down, and get themselves back into the football game by chipping away.
All right, Torrey, thank you. And Bob Davie, I'm sure, reminded his team, wipe out the first half.
Yeah.
Forget what the score is. Let's win the third quarter and then move to the fourth quarter, try to win the fourth quarter. Because if you try to climb the mountain in one leap, ain't going to happen.
And I've been through one of these coaching transition, rebuilding sort of situations when I was at the University of Iowa. We transitioned from Hayden Fry to Kirk Ferentz, and you find those smaller moments in every teachable moment that you can as a coach to make sure that you're continuing to build. And as you referenced there, Drew, those building blocks that you need to be able to find to make sure your team is taking advantage of every moment. So there's no doubt, Bob Davie, we see him there on the sidelines right now. He's going to continue to coach. He's going to continue to drive these players throughout this second half.
And the first thing they're going to have to do is get a stop on defense, because Utah State will get the football to begin the third quarter. Justice Adams into the ball. And from the goal line, this is Tay Glover Wright. Stops and restarts, and he'll get it above the 25 to the 26-yard line. Utah State, as we have discussed throughout the ball game, starting a true freshman tonight, and in the first half they've been typically very good. They've outscored their opponents in the first half by 77 points, and this has been a continuing trend going back to last year when they went 11-2.
It's not just about what they do on the offensive side of the football, but that defense has been so tenacious, so hellacious in the opponents that they've faced.
Garrettson looks like he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage. And he turns and hands it to DiMartino. That's been a good decision most of the night. And DiMartino stays on his feet. Walks out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Actually, we'll get 10.5 there, so it is a first down. DiMartino with that carry, now over 100 yards rushing in the game. And DiMartino coming in was averaging 6.5 yards a carry, and he hasn't hurt that average tonight at all. And Garrettson will give it to Natson, and it's another big gainer. 2 plays, and they're in New Mexico territory to the 49-yard line.
The last season for Utah State, Kevin Wimpy and his brother Kyle were the only 2 players up front with 5 starters returning for Utah State that didn't get any kind of all-WAC recognition. But I'd say tonight, Kevin Wimpy, maybe as well as any other offensive lineman in the lineup, has had a great game.
Good downfield block again by Travis Van Leeuwen. A play pass here, and a good-looking throw. Reynolds to the 38-yard line.
Pass complete to number 8, Travis Reynolds.
Tonight's Cold Hard Fact is brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Daryl Garrettson, the 14th true freshman to start in an FBS game this season. And I attribute that, Anthony, to the job a lot of great high school coaches are doing around the country. And it's not only carried over to the FBS as DiMartino finds room again. DiMartino could go, he will go. For the 4th time tonight, DiMartino in the end zone, and that was way too easy. 4 plays, 74 yards.
We keep seeing the majority of the big runs that Utah State has had coming towards the left side, behind left tackle Kevin Wimpy, left guard Sini Taualvea. They've done a great job on the edge, staying with the defenders, maintaining their blocks, and that's given Joey DiMartino the opportunity to get to the second level. And again, we've seen that burst from DiMartino to take it the distance.
Extra point is good unofficially. 144 yards on the ground for DiMartino. 38-3, Utah State.
And it starts right here. With tackle, guard, guard. They go with an unbalanced look, and they've actually got an extra tight end over there, Keegan Anderson, to that side of the field as well. And so when you've got all that beef, all that mass, leaning on the defense, no penetration or knockback at the point of attack, Joey DiMartino has his pick of different gaps that he can run the football through. And this gaping crevice, just one stiff arm is all it takes for him to get by Dante Caro and work his way into the paint.
Now DiMartino, known as one of the leaders on the football team, had 120 yards rushing earlier this year against San Jose State. He's had a huge game. He's got 180 yards in total offense. 3 touchdown runs and that touchdown reception early on. 32-yard run earlier for a score, now a 38-yard run. Wiggins will take it out of the end zone from 2 yards deep. And again, Utah State, you want evidence of foot speed. It generally shows up, Anthony, as you know, on special teams.
These players that are out here covering the kicks most certainly are the return man that are running them back. The interesting thing with each of these football teams is that they have linemen that they feature on their kickoff teams. So it shows you the versatility of athleticism that they have in the lineup.
You know, just to finish the thought about high school quarterbacks and coming prepared to play at the FBS level, and Garrettson has been one of those guys. Gauchi played early in his career at the University of New Mexico, and that's a quick throw out to Marquise Bundy. It's also the situation now with what we see on Sunday. So many young quarterbacks. It used to be you had to be an apprentice 3-4 years, watch and learn systems and kind of learn the NFL. And now we're seeing so many young guys emerge from college and start right away on Sunday.
One of the things you're seeing on Sunday is that they're starting to use a lot of the formations and the playbook that we see at the collegiate level, with some spread option, with some pistol formation, like we continue to see the pistol on the majority of the snaps tonight for the Lobos.
It's a pretty good catch in the flat by Wiggins, but he's going to lose yardage. Flying up is Nevin Lawson. Speaking of Sunday football, the coaching staff believes Lawson's going to get a chance to play on Sunday. 5'10", 190-pound senior corner from Lauderhill, Florida. A couple picks, got in the end zone last week. And as Anthony mentioned earlier, Lawson, the reigning Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain West Conference. 3rd and 6 for Mitchum. And Mitchum again flushed. And really nowhere to deliver the football. And Lawson on the coverage again.
And that was a really impressive job of the coverage as well, because Lawson was one-on-one with Marquise Bundy, and that's where Clayton Mitchum wanted to go with the football. But you see, again, as I talk about, you're putting hands on wide receivers, not allowing a free release from the line of scrimmage. And even though Mitchum still tries to fit the football in there towards the sideline, the coverage is just so tight, there's no way to get it in.
Scare with the punt, turns it over. Natson back at his 23, and here he goes again. Last time he had it, he went 65 yards for a touchdown. There is a flag down. Natson is going to reach the end zone, but it may come back. A flag down way back at the 35-yard line. That will wipe out a 76-yard punt return, we think.
During the return, block in the back, Receiving team, number 45. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That one on Keelan Hollis.
Well, it was pretty for Natson. It didn't count. 38-3 Utah State. Mountain West football on Root Sports is brought to you by your Utah Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by First Interstate Bank, neighbors helping neighbors in the place we call home. This is atop Sandia Peak right here in Albuquerque. The tramway takes you to above 10,000 feet, an observation deck where you can overlook the spectacular Rio Grande Valley. This is a special place, special corner of our great land, and it is a beautiful evening tonight. Temperature in the low 50s, not a cloud in the sky. Not that you could see him right now anyhow. But earlier when the game started, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. This is Robert Marshall getting a little work.
Outstanding as the vistas are here in Albuquerque. I'm a big fan of the green chili. You know, we've been out after I've been here a couple of times. We've had a meal or two since we've been here. The green chili in Albuquerque, New Mexico, it's unique.
And last night, partner, you ate enough for two. I just want to say.
No doubt about that.
They're going to put you in a three-point stance again. You keep eating like that. Van Leeuwen. And he can't slip the tackle. Good job by Cranston Jones, sophomore from Mesquite, Texas. The freshman class for Bob Davie, full class, and it looks like he's going to be able to redshirt 20, which in the process, as you well know, that is necessary to start building depth and letting kids get where they're big enough to play college football at this level. And it's broken up. Pretty good play. That's Fatu Ulale, 280-pound senior. He's from Torrance, California. Got one of those big mitts in the air.
Well, you referenced some of the young football players that are going to be able to redshirt this season. If you look at a situation like his young quarterback, Cole Gauchi, is outstanding as he played as a true freshman last year. Bob Davie and the staff will readily admit they would have preferred to redshirt him last season. B.R. Holbrook is a quarterback who really didn't fit their triple option sort of attack they were running at the time, but between Gauchi and several other players, they want the opportunity to keep guys within this program for not just 4 years, but get that fifth year, allow them to mature at the collegiate level.
They brought pressure. Tim Foley's back, calling a fair catch, and he makes it at the 24-yard line. We'll take a break. It's 38-3 Utah State. We're in the third quarter in Albuquerque. Root Sports continues its Mountain West football coverage next weekend. Tune in next Saturday as the Spartans of San Jose State will be hosting the Wyoming Cowboys. We're on the air at 5 Mountain, 4 out west. Don't miss a minute of Mountain West football right here on Root Sports. Clayton Mitchum with the football, 1st and 10 for New Mexico at their own 24-yard line. Fakes the handoff to Carrier. Now he's running for his life again. And he's going to run out of bounds at the 19-yard line, and that'll be another sack, the 4th of the game. Zach Vigil will get credit for the sack. He's 3rd in the Mountain West Conference in tackles. And some scores from around the MWC. Earlier today, Colorado State shocking Wyoming by 30. 52-22 in Laramie in the border war. Capri Bibbs rushed for 201 yards. Boise State doubling up Nevada. They're in the 4th quarter. And Fresno State is up on UNLV 21-7. 17th ranked Fresno State. 2nd and 14. It's a load option. And again, it's defended well. Jake Dowdy. Well, they tried to block the edge, but there was too much edge to be blocked, I guess.
And as Clayton Mitchum starts to work this ball towards the sideline, you see a little bit more patience he has before he pitches the football, but he never really threatened the defense. The difference you see when Cole Gauchi runs the option, he starts to work his way up the field, really threaten that edge defender, so he has to commit. There's never a point where Clayton Mitchum as the quarterback forces the defender to declare. So essentially you have an outside linebacker who can defend both the option man and the pitch.
3rd and 11, Twins to both sides. And Mitchell will run quarterback draw. And it opens up to the perimeter. He'll have a first down and knocked out of bounds finally at the 40-yard line. Again, it's Dowdy. Nice little run by Clayton Mitchum, the junior from Arkansas.
One of the things you'd like to see is for a quarterback to be decisive. So they go with the called quarterback draw, even though Casey Carrier is his lead blocker at only 185 pounds. Mitchum, we see he's got some wheels. He's got the ability to get out in space, make defenders miss, and to hurt the defense with his legs. There's just some of the minute intricacies of how you run, not only the spread option, but the triple option that the Lobos run, where he still needs to get more comfortable.
Yeah, Dowdy showed pretty good wheels there, didn't he?
This is a Utah State defense that can and will run. They will chase the football as well as any other defense in the country.
Pretty good depth, too, because they're in an odd front. That's their base defense. And we've seen 8 or 9 rotate in. And it's very unusual at the FBS level to be that deep on the defensive line with capable guys. I mean, saw Ricky Alifua with a sack earlier and nearly another sack. He's listed as a 3rd teamer.
One of the things that Todd Orlando's been able to build here is to have that level of depth and have people in the lineup who've been groomed to be able to be ready for this moment. There is no surprise that they're the top defense in the Mountain West Conference because they were that in the WAC last season, and this is a group that plays well at every level. They show you versatility of fronts. They're willing to pressure the quarterback, but the main thing that coaches around the MWC talk about with the Aggies defense is the way they swarm to the football.
And Mitchum looking for a double move. He wasn't there. He escapes again. And working back to the football was Jared Magnet, but he couldn't hold on.
Intended for number 81, Marquise Bundy.
We've seen Clayton Mitchum on the run throughout the night. Another pressure from the front defenders. This is a defensive line that normally goes 3 down, sometimes 4 down, but they've been able to pressure the quarterback and get into the backfield consistently throughout the game without the advent of that 5th rusher. Normally we see some of the linebackers like Kyler Fackrell, Jake Dowdy on called blitzes adding themselves to the rush, but they really haven't had to use that.
2nd and 10 for Mitchum.
And guess what? Another tackle from a defensive lineman. That one's Connor Williams, a senior. Already been drafted into the CFL. But this defensive front, I mean, it's usually a front 7 because they don't need that 8th man in the box. So you see the defensive line, the linebackers making plays in the backfield. And it's dual roles because they have to hit blocks at the line of scrimmage, making sure they're keeping linebackers clean. But after those LBs are clean, we see defensive linemen getting off blocks and wreaking havoc in the backfield.
Now, Bob Davie told us yesterday this will be the best defense they've faced all year, and I'm sure on an exit interview tonight, Bob Davie will say they're every bit as good as they look like on film. And on cue, another sack for Utah State. B.J. Larson, the 6'5", 275-pound junior. That's 4 sacks tonight.
Now I'm going to tell you what, as I evaluate some of this talent up front for Utah State, B.J. Larson isn't a guy that gets as many accolades as some of the other people in the group, but I think as much 3-4, as many odd fronts as we see at the NFL level now, I think this is a junior that's going to get his opportunity at the next level because he's got a skill set that suits where the NFL game has gone defensively.
Yeah, we were down on the field before the game, and he tilts the field when he runs by. That's a big man, big young man. 38-3 Aggies. (38-3) Utah State in Albuquerque. Drew Goodman, Anthony Herron, and Torrey Holt, and Marshall bounces it to the outside and then stumbles down to pick up a 3 or 4 for the senior from Dallas. Utah State trying to become bowl eligible for the 3rd straight year. They're 3-4 coming into this game, and the schedule is accommodating as this ball gets knocked to the turf. New Mexico claiming they have it. Three of their final 4 games will be in Logan.
That's the 3rd different ball that's been on the ground for Utah State that New Mexico has not been able to recover. It's that mesh point issue again, and they're diving on the ground trying to get the football. These are the types of balls that the Lobos defense has to come up with.
That's Tate Glover Wright, who's a cornerback who's in at quarterback. And if you're a corner, you generally have pretty good feet, and he shows it there, huh? This is a different package.
Pseudo wildcat sort of look that the Aggies are running now offensively. And you wonder about it as you get to this point in the game where it's 38-3. You've got a true freshman who's been playing quarterback for you. And so at what point do you pull him from the lineup?
And Wright's going to run it himself again. Knocked down by Dallas Bolema.
And not only what point do you pull him from the lineup, but the question of who would actually be going in at that point. It's not Craig Harrison, who was the starter in last week's game against Boise State. But interesting. This gives defenses another element to look at on film, though, when they study this Aggies offense.
He's had some snaps there, you can tell. Inside handoff to Marshall. You know, sometimes when you have unique packages like this, you know, it's two plays that he has.
The interesting thing with Tate Glover Wright, where he was the starter at corner the majority of the season, the last couple of weeks, he's given way in the lineup to Quentin Byrd at the corner position, hasn't been the starter. But he's always been thought of as a versatile athlete since he's been with this program. But he's been inconsistent playing corner, but they use the physical tools that he has. And now with Chucky Keaton not being the quarterback for the Aggies anymore the remainder of this season, he's a guy that can still add that running element to the QB position.
He's out of Smyrna, Georgia, and he arrived in Logan, Utah from Eastern Arizona Junior College. And he was a JC quarterback at Eastern Arizona, so this wasn't a tap on the shoulder one day in practice. Say, hey, you ever thought about running with the football? You ever taken snaps at quarterback? He has a background as a quarterback. And you can just tell watching him and the comfort level right now that he has. And he's got a big opening here on the read option of across the 40 down to about the 37-yard line. Another first down for Utah State. Cranston Jones will get credit for the tackle.
You see the option that's set up here, very different from the way New Mexico tends to run their option, where this is just more of a straight spread option. Only one read there. You operate from the pistol. You're going to give it to the back, or you're going to keep it yourself.
And Marshall lowering his pad level. He's a big, strong kid. He's 6 foot, 220 pounds. It's unusual now, Anthony, to see a running back above 6 foot. So many guys, whether it's major college football, the NFL level, 5'9", 5'10", 215, 220. This kid a little taller at 6 foot, 220.
One of the difficult things to do when you're that tall is to drop your pad level at the end of the run. Because you're so tall, you end up giving yourself up as a big target for defenders to hit.
And Glover Wright will keep again. And making the tackle is Bolema. Bolema's a senior from Artesia, New Mexico. 3-year starter. You think about early in this football game, New Mexico had it initially, and they dropped the football at their own 8-yard line. One play, touchdown, and Utah State was up 7-0, and it's been lopsided pretty much since.
And on to number 27, Robert Marshall.
It was a very nice cut back there in the hole from Robert Marshall. Nice little jump cut from being a bigger guy at 220 pounds, as we were just referencing. That can be a more difficult cut to make, and it's one of the things that Bob Davie likes on his offense that Casey Carrier has the ability to do. You get into the hole, you see one gap, and then you jump cut all the way back to the opposite gap. That cutback lane opens up late.
Marshall again, feeling his way.
Number 27, Robert Marshall.
Dakota Cox, true freshman from Draper, Utah. And Cox is the only player in red tonight who's from the state of Utah. Utah State does not have a player from the state of New Mexico. Dakota Cox from Juan Diego High School in Draper, Utah. They turned out a lot of players. And again, Marshall getting the work here.
Number 91, Zach Rogers with the stop for the Lobos.
The coaching staff from New Mexico, they talk about Dakota Cox as a guy who's a very instinctive player on the field, playing the middle linebacker position. He's been put in a position where he plays next to Dallas Bolema, who's been a star on this defense over the years for New Mexico, one of the few stars that they've really had on that side of the football in recent years. And he's been sponging off of Bolema, just trying to learn everything he can as a true freshman, playing next to a senior who's made a lot of big plays.
Wright took a lick, didn't drop him initially. He down at the 6-yard line, and with that, he's going to be very close to a first down. Dante Caro with the tackle. Glover Wright has to readjust the chin strap, so does Caro. Remember those old hits where the helmet got twisted a little bit, you had to test it, the jaw still worked?
Well, it didn't happen to me after making runs like this. Being able to shake defenders down out in space, cut it back.
David Orvik is the one who delivered the blow initially. It wasn't enough for a first down, so it's 1st and goal at the 6. Garrettson's back in there. Full house backfield. And this time Marshall got rejected in the hole. And Matt Wells has to be thrilled with how his team has played on both sides of the football and in that often overlooked third level as well, and that's the third phase, the special teams, because their special teams has been brilliant tonight.
As a head coach, Matt Wells has taken the reins of the special teams, and he loves the coaching staff he has, but when you're really working closely with the special teams, you're able to work closely with all the different players because you pull from every different position group.
3 chapters closed in Albuquerque at University Stadium, and the book thus far that's been written by the Aggies is pleasing to the folks back in Logan. 38-3 Utah State.